When the mighty slip, it's obvious to all of us because they have further to fall. The history of sports is littered with role models who rose to great heights of celebrity and skill only to falter and come crashing back to earth because of one bad decision or one revelation. Some stay down and never recover, and some manage to brush themselves off, clean up their image, and return to the limelight. Some are defeated, and some beat the odds. Alistair Overeem is an MMA mainstay, active professionally for nearly 20 years, gaining fortune and fame on his way through multiple organizations and championships. He frequents lists of best heavyweights of all time, as well as highest-paid MMA fighters in history. He has plenty of devoted fans and no shortage of admiring pundits. And yet, Overeem has yet to gain his dream of the UFC Heavyweight Championship, and it's not for lack of trying. The championship always seems just out of his grasp. He only has to reach out and grab it, but losses against high-profile opponents, as well as a very public fall from grace, have kept Overeem from his title. With such a long career, Overeem has gained significant wealth from his active years. But how does he spend that fortune? And what use is money if all he wants is that coveted UFC heavyweight title? Like, share, and subscribe to the Ultimate Fighting Network as we find out how the Demolition Man, Alistair Overeem, spends his millions. Alistair Overeem has had a long professional career as a mixed martial artist for various organizations like Pride FC, Strikeforce, and K1 before he ever signed with the UFC. While he definitely earned his pay prior to the UFC, most of his real wealth expanded during his time with the organization, along with his fame. Numbers prior to his signing with the UFC are scarce, but it's likely that his first few purses in both Pride FC and Strikeforce never rose above 5 figures, hovering around $10,000 to $30,000 per fight. As he became more prominent in Strikeforce, so did his pay, and by the time he signed with the UFC in 2011, he managed to negotiate a 6-figure starting salary just to show up and fight Brock Lesnar. Because he won that fight, his final purse was almost $400,000. Not a bad debut. Overeem never made below 6 figures again in the UFC, working his way up through $500,000 and $800,000 purses to fight big names like Stipe Miocic. Overeem didn't make as much money in the Miocic fight as he might have. He was fined $500 for showing up late to the weigh-in, but still a substantial purse. To date, his biggest purse is a 3-way tie between his matches against Curtis Blades, Sergey Pavlovich, and Francis Ngannou, each netting him $860,000. Overeem has had 2 fight night bonuses, one performance of the night and one fight of the night bonus at $50,000 each, and has benefited from the UFC's Reebok sponsorship, earning between $5,000 and $10,000 per fight from the brand since 2015. He also earns fight week incentive pay at $15,000. In 2012, Overeem infamously failed a random drug test before his scheduled match with then heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos, putting his limit of testosterone way above normal. While he claimed that it was a misunderstanding due to a medication he was taking, the UFC still denied him the ability to fight for 9 months, putting a hold on his championship dreams. The effect of this on Overeem's life and career cannot be overstated. The loss of revenue and respect was nearly career-ending and made many pundits question his ability to bounce back. Before his return to the UFC in 2013, Overeem publicly signed endorsement deals with supplement company F3 Nutrition as well as Rise, a sports performance drink, in an effort to prove that optimal health was his goal and that he was seeking natural ways to stay fit and strong. This largely worked, and Overeem did go on to return to the UFC for another shot at the heavyweight championship, though it was unsuccessful. Estimates online place Alistair Overeem's career earnings at around $10 million and his overall net worth at an impressive $15 million. So, how does Alistair Overeem spend his millions? Overeem's pretty private about the details of where he lives, but the fighter is fairly active on social media where he leaves glimpses of his lifestyle. A devoted family man, Overeem and his wife and children live in a large, lovely home in Miami, Florida. Among his hobbies are playing video games and gun collecting, as well as visiting the shooting range. He likes cars and has been seen with an Audi Q7 and Q5, as well as a luxury Rolls-Royce. Overeem loves to travel all over the world, both for business and for fun. His most recent trips include Cyprus and Thailand, but he also splits his time between home and Denver, Colorado, where he trains with Team Elevation. Overeem is always looking for new ways to improve his training regime, and has even dabbled in the teachings of health guru and fellow Dutchman Wim Hof, who prescribes deep breathing and extreme cold as a way of improving overall health and vitality. While no one has had a peek at Overeem's grocery list, it's likely that a lot of the fighter's pay goes toward his appetite. Like many fighters in his weight class, Overeem is a pretty big guy, and he maintains that frame by training, resting, and eating a lot. Very high-protein meals, including beef as well as horse meat and fish, up to 8 times a day. Unlike a lot of fighters, Overeem hasn't seemed to diversify his business much over the past few decades. He doesn't appear to have his money wrapped up in merch, a training center with his name on it, or any foundations or charities. Overeem is a fighter, plain and simple. A very rich fighter, but a fighter nonetheless. Fighting is the only thing he wants to do, and it's the center of his life. His home, his family, his travels, his habits. All of his money seems to pour back into doing what he loves to do. At age 40, Alistair Overeem is still an active athlete, but he, and everyone else, has his eye on the inevitable end of his career, though no one is quite sure when it will come. For those who love and admire him, the dream is still alive that he might claim the UFC Heavyweight Championship he so desires before he leaves the sport for good. For others, especially those who lost respect for him back in the drug failure days, they wish he'd just retire now, and good riddance. But no one can deny that Alistair Overeem is an unusual case. He was a fighter who was perched on the edge of possible greatness, then fell hard, and publicly. Most fighters have a tough time rehabilitating their image under such circumstances, but he came back. He re-entered the cage, continued to make money, continued to win fans and pundits over. He's still a contender, and will likely be remembered as a legend. No matter what the future holds for Alistair Overeem, what money, what titles, what losses, what gains, no one can say that he didn't beat the odds. What do you think about Alistair Overeem? Comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Fighting Network.